It's 7:15. There are calls this morning for more drug and alcohol support to be offered to people from Black, Asian and minority ethnic communities, following concerns from charities that these groups are often underrepresented in treatment.
Our reporter Anna Crossley has been speaking to Kim, a South Asian woman who was addicted to heroin for 16 years and is now in recovery.
I'm quite nervous, my stomach's churning. I feel quite sick really because this is where my addiction started. I'd come away from a really unhappy, a horrible marriage, and I thought I was going to start a new life here, but then ended up spiralling into addiction. I didn't know that I was addicted to drugs.
It's the first time you've been back here?
It is, yeah. I think it was about time somebody spoke out. I don't know if I'm going to be appreciated for it or if it's going to go down well, but I felt after all these years it needed to be out in the open, that there's addictions that go on in South Asian communities. I was told how to walk, I was told how to smile, I was told how to do everything, so I didn't have my own kind of thoughts. It was very much controlled by other people. And then when, you know, somebody's rolling up a joint of whatever it was, and said, here, have this, it'll make you feel better, I took it. And that was my first pull of a joint of heroin. Well, I didn't know I was in addiction till I was probably about a year or two in, because the heroin was provided for me every day, so I didn't have withdrawals. It was embarrassing. Who could I tell? Who could I go to? Who's going to understand? You know, for me it was more, I'm not just a drug user, I'm an Asian girl on drugs. I'm an Indian girl on drugs. Who do I turn to? Who will understand? It's more risky or dangerous not to say anything and to educate our own people and be honest about what happens and what addiction does to people. God, this is awful, this, now thinking about it. Is my little girl came home with a sponsorship form for school one day and I made loads of photocopies of it, and I walked around the whole of Bradford, I think, with this sponsorship form and cheated money out of people. I mean, absolutely shocking. I mean, I lived in a house just here. I think I lived in that, where the blue door is.
This one here?
Yeah.
What was your lowest point?
I think I took an overdose of tablets because I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't want to be here. I couldn't look after my kids. I've ended up back in that horrible spiral again. You know, I failed my parents. I failed my kids. I failed me.
You did turn it around though.
Come on then. I have. I did. It took a long time. Come on then. I was ready for change, and I just, in my head, I knew that I didn't want this life, and I was damaged. You know, I was seriously damaged. I'd lost my children, and I was going to either die, or I needed to change where my focus was going. Where are we now? Settled. I'm in a happy relationship. Andy's brilliant, who I'm with. Been together for 8 years. I'm happy to be here, and I've earned my place here. I've earned my place on earth, I think. The more I do this, and I will do this more, I think the word will get out there, and we can protect and support other women and men that are in similar situations.
Well, we're joined now by Sohan Sohan, who's from the Drug Recovery Service Bac-In. Sohan, thanks so much. Really moving, very brave of Kim to speak out as she has, because she herself talks about the shame that she feels. But the question she kept asking there was, when she was in the thick of that addiction, who will understand? Who will understand? And that's the kind of question that you're there, I guess, to answer.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. And let me just start by saying, that this is not an easy subject to talk about. And we don't want to bring any negative spotlight to our communities. But it's a subject that needs to be talked about, because we are losing too many lives to untreated addiction and trauma in our communities. I wanted to say that at the outset. So where does Kim turn to? We have mainstream services. They provide generic support, and that's good. But where does she turn to where she can talk about those cultural experiences that she's had, surrounding the marriage, the culture around that, the religion, the extended family? These dynamics are very, very complex. And if they are rooted into, someone's addiction, they need the kind of support that can be only delivered by people who can understand that culture, that cultural experience. Services like ours, like Bac-In, there's only a few services that are ethnically led, recovery-based services across Great Britain.
So how does what you offer then differ from the standard generic services you described there?
So our service takes into account people's culture, ethnicity, racial background, beliefs, faith, religion. All of those wider dynamics are taken into consideration when we are supporting people.